What's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of Pro Talks, the platform where professionals share real insights, real stories, and real strategies to help you grow professionally and personally. Today's guest is the husband, father, tech professional, entrepreneur, musician. Multifaceted at his finest. Let us know what else you do. He's also a brother of the greatest fraternity known to mankind, the only one in my eyes.
Facts.
Xavier Bennett.
How's it going, man?
How you doing today, man? Appreciate you for coming out.
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I want to get started today. As today's topic, we want to talk about fathers in tech. So Xavier, let's start out with your background. Can you tell us about your career journey and how you got into tech?
Yeah. So I originally from Pennsylvania. Went to school in Daytona Beach, the great Bethune-Cookman University. Was originally a chemistry major when I started out, and then became a computer science major after my freshman year. After that, I did various internships throughout the summer, like Naval Research Laboratory, Binghamton University, Raytheon. And then after that, after graduation, first job was at IBM. Stayed there for about 3 years, and then I'm currently in my second job right now at Clear Capital, company out in Nevada.
Nice. So what would you say you like the most about what you do currently?
Because I work from home, kind of the freedom. I'm a horrible office guy. I don't like sitting still. I like to move around. I like to go from the living room, maybe to go to the porch, or maybe go to a coffee shop. I like kind of being mobile. Helps me kind of free up my space,
right,
and free up my thoughts when I can't really figure stuff out. Being able to kind of bounce around helps. Being stuck in one thing is
definitely. Do you do anything outside of well, of course, I know you do some things outside of your career. So what are some things you kind of do outside?
Like just for fun, professionally, or
both? Yeah.
So for fun, I'm into Muay Thai.
Okay.
Preparing for my first fight now.
Nice.
For fun, other stuff for fun, I'm a gun guy. I own too many guns, at least right now. Like to shoot. Like going out to eat, spend time with my son, my wife. And then professionally, currently working on probably like my third business venture.
Nice.
Trying to help music artists discover beats or help producers find music artists, and kind of using my data background to interject myself into the music industry.
Dope, man. So when it comes to fatherhood, was it something that you thought you were into at this point in your career or your life?
I don't want to say I expected to be a father at this point. I knew I was getting close.
Okay.
Like when I hit like 29, and just to be fair, it's not like I was being safe.
Being super pure.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And
yeah,
so,
I feel you.
Like when I was like 16, did I think I'd be like a dad at like 29 or 30? I knew somewhere around this time frame. But life goes on. It doesn't really hit you until it hits you. So it like I said, it wasn't a surprise. But no, I didn't think about it back then.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, like, how did becoming a father shift your perspective on work and like leadership in the tech space, if any correlation?
I don't know if I wouldn't say is there a correlation to the tech space. Maybe I will say definitely like you're not thinking about just you anymore.
Okay.
It's one of them situations where you're kind of like, I got a son I got to take care of. I got a child I got to take care of. I got to be on point. You know what I'm saying? I can't afford to be in a situation where I can't take care of my family. So that really kind of put me in that headspace where it's like, all right, now I got to show up every day.
Yeah.
Some days prior to having my son where it's like, I'm just not feeling it today. Maybe I'll take a sick day. Maybe, I won't work as hard this day or whatnot. But, when you got a little one to take care of, I'm just like, nah, let me go ahead and get into it. And, kind of building that muscle of like what hard work looks like, especially since I'm home all the time.
Yeah.
For him to be able to be like, all right, dad's getting it done. And he's always getting it done.
Being that example, showing the example, even though he's little right now, but establishing that example and being able to,
that's
show him what it looks like, and also showing him like what balance looks like too. Not you know what I mean? Not not doing so much of overworking, but knowing how to, take time for yourself, or
Right.
you know what I mean? Which we're all working on, achieving. Me too. Me personally, I'm like, I like to try to show my son, he's 7, but I like to show him, not only the importance of working hard, but also the importance of having balance in your life. Because I feel like a lot of us didn't really, we didn't really get that example growing up.
Balance looked like, mom's home on the weekend.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Same for me. Like mom and dad, they work during the week, home during the weekend, chilling at the crib. Like, yeah, that's definitely something. I will get into that later. But yeah, definitely setting an example is very important. I would say next question would be for me. The tech space is known for like a fast pace and long hours. How do you manage work-life balance? I kind of segmented into that.
Yeah. So my first job, I had horrible work-life balance.
Okay.
Awful. I mean, like 20-hour days. Being at IBM and being kind of in the consulting space, kind of at the client's wing.
Yeah.
And being fresh out of college and just thinking like, I got to prove myself.
Yeah.
There was no work-life balance.
Okay.
It was work nonstop. It was, this needs to get done tomorrow. Stay up all night. And I feel like I didn't really have much time to myself. I kind of would I'd work on the weekends. Saturdays, I'd still be going. Sundays, I'd still be going. Several different waves of burnout. Burnout, get it together, burnout, get it together, burnout, get it together. And that was kind of the cycle, which I kind of ended up learning. It wasn't necessarily that's how the tech industry is, but sometimes maybe that's just how the company is. And so IBM has kind of a very workhorse culture. Like I had a guy tell me, if you're not doing at least 60, 70 hours a week, you're not working. And so I kind of took that to heart of, all right, this is the workforce, and so that's kind of how I was operating.
Yeah, I feel like that's like I talked about this with another one of my colleagues, like, the idea of working hard, I think, has evolved over time. Like I think back then, the idea of working hard was 60 to 70 hours.
Yeah.
Work until you drop type deal, burnt out. That's okay. Get it together, get back, like you said, get it together, get back on track.
Yeah.
But I think time has evolved so much now where there's so many ways to work smarter and not harder. And I just think the whole Henry Ford model of work is just that's just dead.
Yeah, and
that's just dead.
Especially in my field, like so the first 2 years I spent a lot of time kind of in the trenches, but then my last year I figured it out. Because being in my space with tech, there's a lot of stuff you don't have to manually do. You know what I'm saying? I got to the point where I started writing code to do a lot of my work for me, which used to free up so much time. So that was a big thing. And to kind of get back to the other part of the question about the learning and fast pace, and how things change and technology.
Right.
It's definitely one of those fields, like, if you don't like learning, it might not be the field for you. Because whatever was cool last year may not be cool this year. And sometimes it also depends on the company. You know what I mean? Like some smaller companies might stick with the same tech stack for the next 20 years. And then your larger companies might be like, we want to go to the newest things. And they got to learn a whole new skill set. And so it depends on where you are, and it depends on the culture of the company. Like some companies move fast from one technology to the next. Some of them stay with it. If you're working in the startup space, you might be doing everything new. Where you didn't learn anything in school, so now you got to learn all this extra stuff. So it just kind of depends on the trajectory of how you want your career to go, really, in the tech space. But it does help to at least stay on top of stuff. Like I spend a lot of time always researching new things, reading articles. I also spend a lot of time still interviewing, even though I'm not looking for a job. I interview specifically just to be like, all right, what's out there? What are people looking for now? What's the new skill sets? So that's one tip.
I agree. I 1,000% agree with that. I think my now wife, she asks me all the time, she's like, why are you always looking and interview, just to interview? And I was like, I like it. I like to make a point to interview at least one time a year, just so that I'm, one, keeping my skills sharp, and two, just feeling filling out the market,
Right.
because it changes so much over time, especially nowadays. Like the job market can be up one month, down the next. You know, it's always, like you said, it's always good to be prepared and kind of know what's out there.
Definitely, 100%.
Most definitely. Yeah. So my next question would be, have you ever felt pressure to choose between being present at home and advancing at work?
For sure. 100%.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day. Every day. So how do you manage that?
I'm thankful right now my son is still really young.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it kind of balances out being that I work from home.
Okay.
And it helps that I have an amazing wife. It takes kind of the big brunt.
Shout out
You know what I'm saying?
wife.
While I'm working. Shout out to Mrs.
Shout out to the missus.
But it's tough, man. Like, because I don't think some people don't understand. Like, if you've never had a chance to work in corporate, like the corporate ladder is a beast. Like, to people that fight.
1,000% beast. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like it's cutthroat too.
Right. And in this space, you know, a lot of times, you know, career trajectory is based on timing, it's based on skill set. And sometimes these skill sets you don't just pick up quickly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like, oh, there's this new technology, there's this. And then sometimes you don't have this certification and this certification. From my experience, from going from IBM to my current company, IBM was a very certification-based thing. Like if you had certifications, they were like, oh, this guy. Because being in consulting is a great way to sell you. The guy that we're sending to come work at your company has X and X and X and X and X certifications, right? But sometimes that didn't translate to actual skill set, because taking a test and then doing the thing aren't always the same thing.
Right.
And so depending on what kind of person you are, and I'm the kind of person who's more of like a experience-based thing. If it was, hey, you need to know how to do this, get this certification, I was more of I'll just go do the thing. I'll go play with the technology. I'll go break it. I'll go understand it, right? But sometimes that doesn't translate well for upper management. Upper management is like, oh, I need to see the certification. And it's like, but I have the skill set. And so sometimes that can be a difficult thing, where it's like, all right, there are people who have the certifications but can't do what I do. So that can be kind of frustrating. And then my current company is more of the skill set thing.
Okay.
They're more of the, oh, okay, you have experience in this. Can you do this? I'll go learn this really quick. I'll put this together. And so that better works for me. But me definitely kind of wanting to, again, move up on the career ladder, for me was honestly just moving to a different workspace culture. A place that was like, nah, this fits my skill set.
I was just going to mention that.
Yeah, this fits how I am culturally. Like, I don't even like being all the businessy stuff, extra uptight,
super formal. Yeah. Me too, man. That's why I kind of made this platform as like a casual type of vibe, because, like I said, it's 2025, man. Like, I feel like it's no need for that. You know what I mean? Nah. There's a time and place for it,
right?
But essentially, there's not a need to be super formal.
If the work getting done, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And if the thing is, if you're dealing with people that's professionals as it is, I mean, you don't really, the casual part of them is still professional. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
sure.
That's a good point. Culture is very important when it comes to like choosing what the best opportunity is for you, because like you said, me personally, I've been in a lot of companies where just the culture it wasn't vibing. The vibe wasn't vibing. You know what I mean? So, I think it's very important, especially as a father and as a husband, like that you choose what best fits, you know, the idea of your family. You know what I mean, and what what's best for your family as far as balance and all that type of stuff.
And culture, I think, definitely plays plays a part into the question when we talk about like advancing career versus being home.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like some companies are like, oh, you're burnt out? Welcome to the job. You know what I mean? Some companies are like, oh, you're burnt out? Bro, take a break, go spend time with your family. You know what I'm saying? So finding the right culture is a good mix. And so like, luckily I didn't have my son while I was at IBM, because then I really kind of felt like, all right, I work a lot now. But like really being at IBM and then kind of being And not to say that IBM was a bad company.
Yeah.
They're a great company.
Yeah.
We just didn't mesh, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You know, it happens.
Just kind of not having that work-life balance. But being where I am now, where it's like, okay, cool, I can do the kind of things I feel like are necessary, or that work for me for career progression. I'm going to learn a skill. I'm going to go do this and do this. And I'm in the kind of company that makes that kind of easy. And also being in a space where people are open to those conversations and not kind of like pushing you off. It's like, I want to talk about my future. I want to talk about going here. Well, I want to do these things. Like my current company is very much like, all right, hey, where do you see yourself in a year from now? And how do we get you there? I thought, I want to do this, that, and third. I want to be more involved here. It's like, all right, cool, we'll figure out how we can get you there. And then they place you there. And so that's good. Being, you know, in a company that's really trying to help its people grow. I think that's super important. And it works well with having a family. And also then being in a company where people have kids.
Exactly. Where they can relate.
Yeah.
That's another important piece.
That's a big piece. Like,
it's another important piece.
Massive piece. Because like I know, because sometimes I travel because they're in Nevada. So sometimes I travel out there. And when I first had my son, everyone's like, oh, giving me advice and how's it going and this, that, and the third. And even some, like one of my coworkers is about to have his second child. And he was like, I don't even know how you're so present, but I'm letting the rest of y'all know I won't be here.
It's real though.
You know what I'm saying? But the fact that we have an open space to where everyone's like, no, that's cool. We understand. You got a baby. That's a lot of work. Go ahead. You know what I'm saying? That's important. And being able to have something like that, that's great.
Yeah. No, that's facts, bro. That's facts. Like I said, like people say everything revolves around your family. It does. It really does. In every aspect. So my next question would be, what's been the hardest part about, well, you kind of touched on that earlier, but being in your profession and like all the other things you do outside of work, what's been the hardest part about being a new father?
Time. Because I work a lot, just because I'm a workaholic. I like working. Kids don't care about time. They don't care about schedules.
They don't care about how tired you are.
None of that.
They don't, it's not that they don't care. They don't.
No, they don't care.
They don't understand. So they don't care.
They don't care at all. So like I had to like shift my schedule so I could figure out how to be the most productive. So like I wake up at like 5 a.m. and I work at 5:30, and I work from 5:30 until about, well, I'll try to go from 5 to 5. So I'll try to do about 12 hours. But I always start at 5:30 just because everybody's asleep, no one's up, it's quiet in the house. That means I can get a solid 4 to 5 hours of work just to do my thing. But then by the time he wakes up, the day is iffy. Like if my wife doesn't leave the house and take the baby or go do things or whatnot, you know, sometimes like, all right, let me make him a bottle real quick. All right, let me hold him real quick so she can go take care of this. Let me do this. And he's been in my meetings before. Like my coworkers know him. He comes to me and they're like, hey, Messiah, how's it going? And so again, one of the benefits of being at home, but it's really just, it's a schedule thing. And then also trying to, you know, figure out like, all right, since I do work so much, what's the best way for me to also then, you know, make sure that we have time? How do I spend time with him, and how do we hang out, and how do we build a bond? And this is where they're working in home life. It helps out a lot because I can go like, all right, grab the family, let's just go out for lunch. And we spend the next hour and a half to 2 hours just being together, being a family. And then once that's done, just go back to work. And then at the end of the day, have dinner together, hang out, chill, baths, playtime, read, and all that good stuff. And then just kind of do it all over again.
Exactly. That's why I say, like, yeah, flexibility is important. Like, it creates room for you to do stuff like that, you know, versus you being in the office and, you know, you getting home at 7 o'clock, you know, being in Atlanta, all the traffic and stuff, you know, you leave at 4, you probably won't get home till about 7. Right. So, and depending on where you live, of course. Yeah.
And the working from home thing, it just, as far as time goes, like, sometimes I shift days. Sometimes it's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna work Sunday and I'm gonna ease up Monday. Whereas like I'll be in meetings, but I might not be actively doing things because I did all this stuff on Sunday. So like I did the brunt of my Monday's work on Sunday, or maybe I'll not do anything Friday, just meetings and stuff, and then I'll do the brunt of my work on Saturday and or over the weekend. So having that flexibility, it works well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel you on that one. On the flip side, what would you say would be the most rewarding about being a new father?
For me, I feel like the reward is gonna come. You know, I tell my wife this all the time. I'm not looking right now. You know what I'm saying? I love the milestones. I like seeing him grow. I love being like, you know, we're walking or we're doing this and so on and so forth. But I'm really looking for the end result. You know what I mean? Like as someone who didn't grow up with their dad, him and I have a good relationship now.
Right.
You know, him and I talk all the time, and he's like, he was like, you know, you were able to get where you were without me. So imagine what your son will be with you. And so that's where my mind is at. I'm thinking like, all right, you know, how can I set him up for this future stuff? So like, I'm kind of holding back on being like super like, how can I put it? Like
video.
I'm not really being, how can I put it? I don't want to say I'm crazy.
No, you good, man. It's casual.
I'm holding back on being like, how can I put it? Okay, me. So my wife and the women in my family and her parents are like, oh, you're a mom. We got to do something big on Mother's Day. This, that, third. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm a dad. That's great, but hold the applause. I don't want to do Father's Day right now. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I'm actively participating in being a father. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end of the road, I want to look back and be like, all right, cool. This is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, oh, you're going to be a great dad. We don't know that yet. I'm doing everything I can to be a great dad, but you know what I'm saying? I just want to focus on being a dad. I don't want to celebrate. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I just want to be in my son's life. I want to love my son, make sure he's growing, be there for my wife, take care of my family, and at the end, you know what I'm saying? Tell me I did a good job. Don't tell me now. And so, you know, I'm just invested on the journey right now. I'm not really. You know what I'm saying? I like looking at his milestones and seeing him grow. I'm not really looking at it from the perspective of like, what are the milestones that I'm hitting as a father? You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking like, all right, how can I be the best father I can be? How can I check mistakes? How can I work on this? And then in the end, when I sit down with my son and be like, all right, how'd I do it? He was like, you may have messed up here and this right here, but overall, you did a good job. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So
that's a unique mindset when it comes to that, because you oftentimes you see a lot of fathers they complain about not being celebrated. You know what I mean? So I think that's a unique and also a good way to think about it. Because if you're so invested into the journey, you won't really think about whether or not you're celebrated.
I'm not even trying to be on that time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something to think about. For me personally too, because I'm guilty of it too. Like I'll sit back and like, dang, you know, I'm doing all this as a father. You know, I don't feel like nobody see me. But it's not about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's all about, like you said, the result at the end.
Yeah, I just tell my wife, I'm like, look, the only thing that I want, if you want to celebrate me, to say I see what you're doing, thank you for what you're doing. That's all I need. I'm good. That'll put gas in the tank and keep me pushing.
Most definitely.
And I'm fine with that.
Most definitely. Have you seen the culture shift when it comes to supporting fathers in the workspace?
Because my son is so young, I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
You know?
Makes sense.
Because I didn't have paternity leave when we had him. And we had him around Christmas time. So I just took normal PTO. So I was already off for like 3 weeks. But luckily, paternity leave I feel like would have been more beneficial for my wife, not for my son.
Yeah, I feel
what I'm saying, to kind of assist her and
be there, support her.
You know what I mean? Because once I started, because those 3 weeks that I had off for PTO during the holiday season, you know, I just spent most of my time just helping her. You know, helping her figure out things and, you know, cooking and cleaning and all this other stuff like that. But as soon as I went back to work, I just had to go right back to work. And so that was a transition that we had to figure out. And I know paternity leave would have been super helpful. But that might just be my company. because I know a lot of other companies do paternity leave. But yeah, I don't know how much of the shift is. I know people are supportive in the sense that like everyone has kids at where I work at, so people are just understand the woes of parenting, and they're just kind of like, oh no, we get it. Mm-hmm. So like sometimes it's like, hey, I can't make this meet, I got a baby thing I got to do. They're like, bro, go ahead, do you're fine. Mm-hmm. And so that's good. And so I don't know how to compare that to anywhere else, being that this is my first. If we ever have more kids and I'm in another company, I can compare, but right now I'm a little. I don't know,
you still kind of still new in the game, so you're still trying to figure it out. Yeah, I got you. But what you've experienced this far, what is some nuggets or some advice you can give to someone like you in your industry that's kind of approaching that step into fatherhood?
Plan for it before it happens. Mm-hmm. So I took necessary steps to make sure that. So I thought parenting and my wife and myself wouldn't have a hard time, because I think one of the biggest stresses is usually financial. Mm-hmm. And so once you take care of that portion, everything else is just kind of touch and go, right? Mm-hmm. And so I took necessary steps to where it's like, all right, my wife doesn't have to work, so she's good. So that's a whole thing that, we don't have to deal with. We don't have to worry about babysitters and can this family member watch them and can this and so on and so forth. So that was a huge load. So if you have the ability to plan for it financially, to kind of be in a situation to where it's like, all right, cool, my wife doesn't have to work, that's a great first step. Outside of that, the other things that I would definitely give advice on would be, correct whatever issues you have with your family if you have them. Because having children when you have issues with the people who are supposed to actively be in your child's life can, that can cause a lot of friction. Mm-hmm. So dealing with family issues is super important, and making sure that you have a strong village. That's super important. Husbands, like being there for your wife is super, super, super important. Because, a lot of people tell us all the time, like, oh, he's such a happy baby. He's such a happy baby. And I'm like, y'all, baby's not happy.
I thought that's how baby's supposed to be.
I thought babies were supposed to be happy, No, for real. But, I try to create as much of a stress-free environment as I can for my wife as it pertains to having to deal with the child. And so it's like, all right, there's not that much stress in the house outside of the normal work stuff or whatnot, to where it's like, bro's just having a good time. You know what I'm saying? My wife isn't, going crazy in postpartum. I do what I can to make sure that she gets out the house to have a good time. I try to take care of the things that I can take care of, cooking, cleaning, doing all those things. And, because a big shift for me mentally was, I tried to be kind of like a nurturer, like how my wife was. And it wasn't translated well between my son and I, because him being a newborn, I don't have breast milk. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we would do stuff like, all right, watch this, babe. She'd give him to me, start screaming. I give him back, he'd stop. And so I kind of had to transition my mindset to like, all right, cool. I wanted to be active in his life this way from the beginning, but it's not that time right now. And so I transitioned to, all right, let me support my wife as much as I possibly can. Let me do that job. And so being able to support your wife I feel like, is a super pro tip.
Yes.
Cook, clean, take her out, make her feel special, make her feel wanted, make her feel pretty, all that good stuff. Fix your village. And then, I like to think about having a plan. It's going to fall apart because kids do what they want to do. But at least having a jump off point, I think, is important. And so for us, we were very intentional on little things like the room has to be set up a specific way. We're not going to do these things. We're not going to do these things. We're not, family members can't do this. They can't do this, and so on and so forth. And we got a lot of pushback for a lot of this stuff. But as time went on, it showed itself as super beneficial. You know what I'm saying? He's growing fast. He's developing faster than most. You know what I'm saying? And so taking the time and care to plan for children as much as you possibly can. Plans change, but, planning for them is super helpful. And I a lot of times I think, like, what would it have been like if we just wung it? It was just like, let's just figure out what happens, right? It probably wouldn't be the same. And so try to be, plan as much as you can, deal with your family, have some money saved up, support your wife And then take care of yourself. That's the biggest thing.
100%.
You know, because if your wife is a stay-at-home mom and you're going to be working a lot, like, health is super important. That was one of the biggest things that kind of she was like, hey, you need to start taking care of yourself, because you're going and 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 going. You're gonna burn out. You know what I'm saying? So eating right, going to the gym. You know what I'm saying? Not, you don't gotta try to be an athlete, but you know,
or a bodybuilder,
you know
but you know what I mean.
Just taking care of yourself is super, super important, especially if you're working long hours. Your body you got to maintain, especially as we're getting up there in age.
Yeah, most definitely, man. 1,000%. Like, a lot of good points in that response for sure. And lastly, what legacy do you hope to leave for your children, both personally and professionally? Or your child?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Personally, I just want to be a good dad for real. You know what I mean? I want to just want to set my son or future kids up, you know, financially, spiritually, emotionally. You know, I've taken steps already to take care of some of the financial stuff, opening trusts and, you know what I'm saying, brokerage accounts and all those kind of things, simple stuff. Spiritual part, you know, really trying to, you know, build a good connection with God and making sure that my son sees that, and also kind of bringing him under that fold. I know a lot of us, or at least from what I've heard, a lot of people are like, you know, my dad was my superhero. You know what I'm saying? And because I don't know what that's like, I'm hoping that I can be fulfilled on the other end of that by being the superhero and kind of leaving that lasting impression in his mind. Like, yo, my dad got it done. You know what I'm saying? He took care of this. He took care of mom. He took care of me. He worked hard. He stayed in shape. He was just a good dude. He was fun. He could kill a man. You know what I'm saying? Just this broad range of things. And I just want my kids or my son to look at me and be like, nah, like, my dad was that guy. You know what I mean? That's on a personal note. On a professional note, I think more than anything, I just want my son to know the value of hard work. You know what I'm saying? I can't say I want him to be in my field, or I want him to be a musician, or I would like those things. But you know what I'm saying, if he doesn't gravitate towards those things, then the one thing I want him to have professionally is, like, he understands what hard work is. You know what I mean? I want him to understand that you do what's required in anything. You know what I'm saying? So if what's required is here, then this is where you need to be at. Just because everybody's doing this, what you're after requires this, so I need you to it just is what it is.
You gotta get there.
You gotta get it there. And so that's really the main thing professionally. You know what I'm saying? And then, well, not the only thing, but I want him to kind of understand that he's a man first in the professional world, especially the black man, just because people try you a lot. And I just want him to, you know, you a man first. And I understand this is a career, but, you know, you be respected. Give respect, be respected, work hard. And then don't let nobody push you around, no matter who it is, CEO, president.
Search yourself accordingly.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, that's real, bro. That actually brings me to another point. Like, that's like a whole nother topic of, like you said, being tried in the workplace. Cause that's an episode coming on that one.
That's a fun one.
But nah, man, that's a good point. And another point that stood out from your response to me is just instilling the importance of faith, like having that connection, relationship with God. I'm part of this. I'm actually doing this cohort at my church, like a cohort for like men who are trying to get closer to God or whatever. But today's topic, ironically, was about man and his family, emphasizing the importance of a man being a priest, a protector, and a provider.
Facts.
And how important that is with being, you know, in being the leader of your household.
100%.
And you know, showing your kids that example of, you know, how to, you know, what faith, what strong faith looks like. Yeah.
Like a couple of my friends and I, we just started doing Bible study, but like real Bible study, not like everybody go grab the KJV and let's read a verse. No, it's, hey, go grab a Quran, go grab a interlinear Bible, go grab an Ethiopian Bible, go grab a KJV, go grab a Geneva Bible. Everyone read for 3 weeks, do research, learn up etymology, all these other things, then come back and let's present findings. Like Bible study. What's the Hebrew word for that? What's this derivation of this?
Yeah.
What's the Greek translation? How did that come from Latin? Who was he talking to when he said this? Where's the diagram of it? Someone pull up a map. And so kind of I want to show my son that kind of faith too. Like read the word. Like read it. For real. Read all of it. Go get you a Torah.
Yeah.
Go get it all. Learn Hebrew, learn Aramaic, learn Gaez, do all of that stuff. So, I plan on, and when it comes to instilling faith, I plan on, we're going to get busy.
Yeah.
We're going to get real busy.
Yeah.
I'm a Bible study guy.
Yeah. Most definitely, man. And stressing the fact of, teaching your kids to be open-minded.
Oh, for sure.
Not to just be one track, being set in their ways and, things like that. That doesn't really take it very far. So I definitely agree with the whole, like your point of like researching, reading different books and learning about different things just to open up your mind to just one specific track of doing something.
Facts,
you know what I mean?
Facts, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. But like again, man, appreciate you for taking the time to come out here and chop it up with me
for sure
for this episode. And once again, you like to share any social media social media handles you have?
You can follow me on Instagram at _solve4x. It's real mathy. Yeah, solve for X. Yeah.
Most definitely 1,000%, man. Well, that'll do it. Episode 2 of Pro Talks is in the books. Thanks again to my guest Xavier Bennett for joining us today, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. You are appreciated, but continue to focus in on that journey and lock in on that journey. So that'll do it. We're out. See y'all next time. Peace.